Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage. This is ETNA's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center in every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight on the show, an influencer, a conversation with Trucky, and on the other side of a short break on Small Giants, we'll feature Zostel. We talk very often here on the Leaders of Tomorrow about the role that logistics and transportation really plays in a country like India, particularly with regards small businesses. Tonight, I caught up with Trucky, an on-demand transportation aggregator, to talk really about their own personal growth story and also about how the market is changing. Take a listen. So Bashish, thank you very much for joining us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Let's start by talking about Trucky. Explain very briefly what the model is to our viewers.
We started Trucky back in May 2015, and it was with an idea. Actually, it was with a problem when we were looking for a trucking service to move our friends' household goods, and then we realized the industry is pretty fragmented, and since I've already worked in the industry for almost 6-7 years, so I know there is no organized services for an on-demand service in the market. And it was late 2014, and I was attending a meeting, and I was part of Taxi for Sure then, and that's where I met my co-founder. He's a techie. His expertise is into web and product development, and apparently he belongs to a family who runs a transportation business, and that's where we could connect. And then we realized that this is a great opportunity to build a product. And we can always, get into the business with this kind of a problem already existing in the market. So we launched our services. Though we launched our services early in the first quarter of 2015, we officially branded it as Trucky in May 2015. And since then, it's been quite a roller coaster ride. We had a couple of major pivots in our business model, in our services, and right now we are in our third year, and we have come to a very stable product which is scalable, very much driven by data, and we are building a product which is and with a focus towards the SME spot market.
I wanted to talk to our viewers about the Trucky Rate Utility Index. Just explain to them what the model is, how it works, and also I want to ask you a larger question as far as innovation in the industry is concerned. There's clearly not enough being done in the logistics and transport space. How do you think that can perhaps be fixed?
So the Trucky Rate Utility Index is majorly an outcome of our spot market. So when we initially had started the intercity service, and with a focus for an on-demand service for SMEs and MSMEs who normally source their truck on a daily basis, and the major haggle that they go through is price negotiation, and now usually the spot market rates are pretty fluctuating almost on a daily basis, and there is no benchmarking, right? So we collected the data for almost 6 months, created multiple variables, and we developed our own pricing algorithm, and which eventually led to the rate index, which today we find a lot of companies, not only logistics companies but also major corporates, who take references from our rate index and our pricing on almost on a daily basis, and it gives a fair idea of how the the freight rates are moving in the market. And that's how we have made it public. We have made it available for the customers to check and take references on a daily basis. When it comes to innovation, yes, I mean today transportation is the most oldest industry, and which we have seen a lot of revolution happening across industries, across segments. But this is the only industry where there is hardly anything being done. I mean, it's the industry where the technology infusion is very, very low, and the only way it can move forward and you can build on a product and bring it more organized is by adoption, right? So technology adoption is the key factor here to eventually achieve a connected transportation.
I noticed you raised funds last year. What are you using those funds for? If you can talk about that, and also whether you would be looking at perhaps raising any more funds?
So we have raised seed fund in 2 rounds. One was in 2015 and one in early 2017. So the majority of the funds were used in product development, into building our product, and a product which is more feasible for not only for customers but also for truckers to use. And we're building up our network so far. So it is majorly into the product development and building up our load sharing network, which we built up in last 2-3 years.
I want to talk about the role of technology in your industry and how it's really changing the realities of what is being done.
So technology, first thing is it will bring a lot of visibility between demand and supply. Second, a trucker who is just moving in one road will be able to move across geographies rather than depending on a broker, and will be able to move more, will be able to turn his trips higher than what he's doing now. And the entire supply crunch, the seasonal crunch which happens during peak seasons, will stabilize, and we look at least 5 to 10% of rate rationalization in the market, which currently is pretty higher during peak seasons.
Let's talk about e-commerce companies and how e-commerce companies, I understand it, increasingly doing a lot of the logistics themselves in-house. What does this mean for small logistics players themselves, whether it's an opportunity or a threat? And also maybe you can talk to us about your own plan and your own strategy, what your kind of exposure is when it comes to e-commerce.
Yeah, so today e-commerce is the fastest growing segment in the industry, and yes, logistics is the key variable wherein deliveries have to be done in time, and that's what is leading all these e-commerce companies integrating their logistics arms in-house, right? But at the same time, so they're also using, I mean, a lot of these logistics arms are also using the local players to integrate with them, to assist them with the deliveries, with warehousing, with the line haul, and also with the intracity deliveries, and integrating them to some extent in their own logistics technology. And Trucky being a spot market business, we do not directly work with e-commerce company as of now. But we assist, we give the services to the suppliers who sell their product through e-commerce companies. So we have a huge base of suppliers who sell their product, send their products to the e-commerce warehouses and uses our service, which currently is not supported by any of the e-commerce logistics arms, and which again is a bigger problem statement within the suppliers community, because they find because they have to ship their products in time to the e-commerce warehouses, so that their product can be eventually shipped to the customers point through the e-commerce logistics arm. So we are building a very streamlined and efficient process to enable these suppliers who currently work with e-commerce companies, sell through e-commerce companies in fact, and give them that logistics service door to door, when they are able to satisfy the service level of the e-commerce company, and at the same time which comes at a lower cost to them.
A last question before I let you go, Subhashisha. What are the next few years looking like for you at Trucky?
All right, so we have built a very good network across major industrial estates and streamlined those network, connected them on our platform. Next 3 years, our focus is majorly going to expand, focus more on customer acquisition, and scale up in terms of number of trips in the current zones, not only in the current zones, but also scale up across all the industrial cities and the business cities across India. And since we are more into not only an aggregator of truckers, but we also an aggregator of loads, so we want to, with an idea of moving at least 1 lakh ton of cargo every month through 5 lakh SMEs and above 5 lakh truckers in the platform.
Subhashish, thanks so much for your time today. Time for a break. On the other side, Zostel, which is a backpackers hostel chain. That's coming up on the other side on Small Giants. Just stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. And tonight we're featuring Zostel. While backpacking hostels globally may be something of a norm and something which is really taken for granted, in India it is not so much. Unfeasible as well as unviable are some of the words that come to mind when we're thinking of hostels, and set to change just that is Gurugram based Zostel. Shibangi Sinha caught up with this company to understand if there is a market for such hostels in India. Take a look.
The idea of travel is as varied as the places one might choose to discover. Whether it's the idea of a peaceful yoga retreat, an adventurous escapade, or a night spent gazing up at the infinite sky, each of these experiences demand the availability of feasible accommodation solutions. Successfully striking a balance between pocket-friendly costs and quality amenities is Gurugram-based backpacker hostel chain Zostel. Founded in 2013, this company has grown from 2 hostels to over 25 across the country today. So Akhil, it's been about 5 years that the 7 of you embarked upon this journey towards building Zostel, and it's been a long ride since then. So talk to me about what really was the initial thought that actually pushed you to enter this market, and what was the gap that you were trying to bridge at that point in time?
Hostel thing started out way back in August 2013 when we started off our first hostel in Jodhpur. And the inspiration behind that was lack of good stay options, lack of safe, affordable stay options for travelers in India. All you had was some dingy guest house on one end of the spectrum, while on the other end there were 5-star hotels which are out of pocket, right? So when some of the co-founders, they went out on exchange programs outside of India, they saw this fabulous concept. It's a separate sort of a concept wherein there's a social setting wherein you can go even if you are traveling solo, you can make new friends, you can go out and explore the city together. So something of that sort was absent in India. It's a big glaring gap that we could identify. So we thought, why not try an experiment and start something of that sort in India and check out for the response.
Right, so like you said that hostels were not exactly very popular 5 years ago in India, and they're an extremely popular concept abroad. So what do you really think has been the shift in the market at this point in time? Do you think that people are more accepting of the concept of hostels, and do you think that there is a big opportunity for companies like you to tap into at this point in time?
So now we see, in fact, we have seen a sea change in the mindset of travelers in the last 4 or 5 years only, in a very short duration of time. So now people are traveling quite a lot more as they used to do in the past. In fact, we see a lot of solo female travelers, we see a lot of guys traveling solo, backpacking across the country, something which was absent, right? And it directly goes with our motive, our inspiration to start Zostel, which is to inspire people to travel more, right? So this market is set to explode. This is an option, a social accommodation option, which doesn't compete with anything else in the market, right? So this is a different way of traveling, and with this wave of millennials trying to go out and explore things, this is set to explode.
Right, so I think when we talk about travelers in India, I think there are 2 things that they are primarily looking for when they are trying to book an accommodation. One being the price point at which they're getting the accommodation, and second, the amenities. So how do you really think Zostel is being able to cash in on both of these accounts, and do you think in fact that Zostel is being able to differentiate itself when it compares to an OYO or an Airbnb on this account then?
So that is one of the strong areas, right? In 500 or 450 price point that we have for a dorm bed, you are getting a 6-inch mattress, you are getting Wi-Fi, you are getting air condition, right? There's a rooftop cafe, right? So in 500 bucks, this is complete punch that Zostel packs. So that is one of the strengths that we have. But again, what is the differentiating factor or USP of a hostel vis-a-vis, let's say if a traveler is comparing a hostel to other stay options, I would say that is the social setting. That is the feeling of staying in an informal environment, making new friends, sharing your travel stories, chit-chatting with those guys, exploring those cities together. So this is, I think, something very different from what other accommodation options can offer, be it a B&B, be it a hotel. But yeah, so I think we are strong in both the areas as far as the facilities that we are able to provide at that price point and the experience that we are able to provide.
While the concept of backpackers hostels are widely popular across Europe and the Americas, this is comparatively new to India. Easing this introduction to hostels by a comprehensive entrepreneurship development program targeted at building hostels with the help of local communities, Zostel is also able to bring to travelers a unique offering at each location. Now, of course, we were talking about how the Indian market for travelers is changing. There has been a huge transition in the way people in India even travel. So, as a result of this, there are a lot of solo women travelers who are now going out and exploring places that they've never been to before. Do you think that this is a segment you would want to target, and are there any special initiatives at Zostel that you have taken so as to ensure that you're able to reach this audience a little better?
Again, in terms of numbers, we have served more than 3 lakh customers till date. And out of those 3 lakh people, 68% of them have stayed with us twice or more. 37% have stayed thrice or more. So there's a very strong repeat rate, right? And a good amount of, in fact, solo women traveler was one of the segments that we were really apprehensive about when we started off. Whether these guys are going to come and really sort of get into a setting wherein there are mixed dorms, or that you are staying in a setting where you are deeply sort of, you are in touch with a lot of people whom you don't even know. But it has turned out to be entirely opposite. So we have a lot of reviews, a lot of women travelers approach us and tell us how nice they felt about the property, and there's no one judging them. So in terms of offering them something special, we have, let's say if you're not comfortable with that environment, if you just want to try out the waters first, we have female only dorms. So you can just book a female only dorm. We also have private rooms. So that gives you best of both the world, give you privacy as well as gives you access to hostel sort of an environment. So these two things are sort of help people or help these solo women travelers to get initiated to a hostel concept. And yeah, secondly, going forward, we do have plans to do something for women backpackers specifically through our passport program.
Right, so taking your point forward about the Zostel passport, it's quite an interesting concept really. So to my mind, it seems like a neo subscription model for travelers. Please correct me if I'm wrong, and also tell me what really is the main idea behind the Zostel passport.
The idea behind Zostel passport is, let's say if you have a Zostel passport, it takes the tension out of your accommodation, right? So if you are on a backpacking trip across India, say you are a traveler from outside India, just purchase a Zostel passport, your stay across India, let's say all the 50 locations is sorted. You get a lot of partner discounts. If you're taking a taxi from one city to another, we have really good partners in this. We have Decathlon, we have Miles, Bear Cafe, My Bar. So basically it's something good to have for any traveler who frequently goes out and who doesn't want the hassle or doesn't want the tension of what my next accommodation is going to be and would that be safe or not. So just have a traveler's card and that is sorted. Just take your backpack on any weekend or whenever you want to go out. Don't wait for your friends. You are going to make ample friends in Zostel and just head out.
So what are the next few years looking like for you at Zostel? You've come a long way since you started, but what's in store for people who are regulars to your hostels in the say next 3 to 5 years?
So the vision behind Zostel, as I said, is to inspire people to travel more, and we really want to be the biggest youth travel brand in the country. So right now you see a youth travel brand in almost every sphere. Even globally, you will not be able to name one big youth travel brand in hospitality space. So I think that is one spot that we are aiming for. So again, we need to create an ecosystem wherein not just your stay, right now we are at stay phase, not just your stay, but in the entire value chain, whether it's your stay, whether it's the activities that you're trying to do, or the inspiration phase wherein the online community and content is getting generated, through which we really want to be the biggest youth travel brand trying to promote travel in India.
With a strong sense of community travel, Zostel is bringing to passionate Indian travelers a stellar way of living life to the fullest, one uncharted territory and intriguing experience at a time.
That's our show tonight. If you have any feedback for us, or like Zostel, if you want to be featured here on the show, here's how you can reach us. leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com is our email ID. Tweet at me at Sunanda_J on Twitter, or LOT_ET now, which is our official Twitter handle. You can also leave your comments for us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good night.